Sent into the most dangerous place in Thailand, a CIA undercover agent walks in completely alone. No backup, no protection. To the gangs watching him, he looks like an easy target. Just another weak outsider who doesn't belong.
I know who you are.
What would you like me to do?
You made a big mistake by coming here.
I think that'd be a big mistake.
They underestimate him, mock him, threaten him, and then beat him. Testing how far they can push before he breaks. But what none of them knew, they were facing the most dangerous man in Thailand. Because this quiet man was a CIA-trained killer, hardened by war with nothing left to lose. In 1994, CIA agents Jake Hopper and Sunti are stationed in Thailand, where they quickly learn the local culture, adapt, and successfully carry out their missions and collect intelligence. A few months into their post, on one of their missions, the agents meet with a local gang leader and calmly advise him to conduct his business peacefully. But soon, an altercation breaks out, and the agents are ambushed. Despite being surrounded by numerous thugs, the agents defend themselves well. Then, Sunti tries to get away while Jake covers him, but takes heavy fire from the thugs who chase after him. This forces the agent to return fire and accidentally ends up killing a young mother. Sunti is devastated by this, rushes to the poor woman and tries to help her. Then, unfortunately, the thugs catch up to him, shoot, and gravely injure him. Luckily, Jake soon arrives on the scene, kills off the thugs, and rescues his partner. Traumatized by this event, and having had enough chaos, Jake soon retires from the CIA, returns to his family in America, and starts his own security business. Meanwhile, deeply affected by the death of the young mother and hoping to atone for his sins, Sunti becomes a Buddhist monk and stays back. Unfortunately, Jake loses his wife a few years later, which leaves him as the sole provider for his daughter Jessica. As time passes, the father-daughter duo help each other through their grief and build a quiet life for themselves. One day, Jake is hired to retrieve some valuable data by his former CIA colleague, Tom Collins. After planning the mission thoroughly, Jake heads to a highly guarded estate, expertly sneaks in, and executes the task without even making a peep. A few days later, Jessica travels to Thailand for a hiking adventure with her boyfriend, Bryce, and her best friend, Sarah. After spending the morning sightseeing, the group enjoys a swim in a secluded lake, but are soon terrified to their core. After the death of their tour guide, the girls are kidnapped by the scary men, while Bryce is fatally shot on the spot. On a video recording, the men identify themselves as troops of the Islamic fundamentalist group named Abu Kharaf, demand the release of their colleagues imprisoned by the U.S. government, and threaten the girls' lives if their demands are not met. As soon as the CIA receives this video recording, Tom recognizes Jessica and discreetly gives Jake a heads up about his daughter's situation. Worried out of his mind, Jake wonders if the kidnapping had anything to do with him and his line of work, but learns that the terrorist's main target is Sarah, who is the daughter of U.S. Senator John Winthrop. Elsewhere, the CIA holds an internal meeting to decide how to contain the matter and rescue the girls as soon as possible. After a lengthy discussion, Agent Leon Washington is assigned to the case and advised to handle it as discreetly as possible. Meanwhile, Jake decides to handle the matter on his own and flies to Bangkok. He then takes a cab from the airport and heads into town. However, soon the driver takes Jake to a secluded area where some thugs are waiting to attack him and hold him at gunpoint. Hoping to avoid more altercation, Jake flees to a crowded marketplace, and the thugs follow him and quickly surround him. Elsewhere, the terrorists imprison the kidnapped girls together and keep them under heavy guard. A few hours later, the girls try to escape but are unfortunately caught, overpowered, and returned to their cell. Meanwhile, Jake goes to a nightclub to meet the owner and old colleague Fitch McCoy, but runs into trouble when he tries to rescue a waitress named Lulu from a drunk man. After single-handedly neutralizing the threat and freeing Lulu, Jake meets with Fitch and informs him of Jessica's dire situation. Jake also shares his doubt about Abu Kharaf's involvement and asks Fitch to use his local connections to find out who's really behind it.
I need some goddamn help.
I'm not on the inside anymore.
The next day, Jake heads to a Buddhist temple where he happily reunites with Sunti, shares his predicament, and asks the spiritual master Pai-Jon Pai-Tun for some spiritual guidance. On the other side of town, Agent Leon arranges a meeting with the head of internal security and promises the agency's full backing and support in exchange for some intel on the kidnapping. At the temple, Sunti is deeply troubled by Jake's predicament, and after weighing out the options and remembering that he owes his old partner for saving his life, he meets with Pai-Jon Pai-Tun to discuss his past and informs him of his wish to give his vows back and to leave the temple so that he can help Jake rescue Jessica. Elsewhere, Jake returns to the hotel, sees movement in his room, and bursts in unexpectedly.
I come to bring you food.
Did Fitch put you up to this?
Later, Sunti joins Jake and suggests using an arms dealer named Fernand Zadir to get to Abu Karaf. Hence, the duo head to Fernand's club, where Jake boldly approaches the feared arms dealer and orders him to arrange a meeting with the leader of the Abu Karaf named Moncol. That evening, Jake meets with Fitch and asks him about Fernand, but he denies knowing the arms dealer. However, Lulu overhears this conversation, discreetly pulls Jake aside and informs him that Fitch is deceiving him. Later that night, as requested by Jake, Lulu discreetly spies on Fitch, gathers information, and reports back. The next day, Jake and Sunti head to the train yard, hide, and quietly observe the arms deal between Moncol and an assassin named Lena, who works for the rebel military general, Jantapan. The deal goes through successfully, and both sides proceed to leave. However, despite the heavy security from each side, Jake notices a hidden sniper preparing to kill Moncol and becomes conflicted as he doesn't want to lose the only potential insight he has to Jessica's case. After weighing his options, despite gravely endangering both himself and Sunti, Jake shoots and kills the sniper. As soon as the shot is heard, all hell breaks loose, and all the heavily armed security men start shooting at each other and at Jake, who, together with Sunti, defends himself well. After much bloodshed, the police arrive and arrest everyone on the scene, including Jake. At the police station, the captain accuses Jake of sabotaging an anti-terrorism raid and orders his men to attack him, which soon backfires. Agent Leon arrives during the standoff, apologizes to the captain, takes full responsibility for Jake on behalf of the CIA, and escorts him out of the station. Outside, Leon warns Jake to stay down and leave the rescue mission in the capable hands of the CIA. Elsewhere, in the dead of night, one of the terrorists tries to rape Sarah, but luckily, Jessica bravely interferes. Hearing the commotion, more thugs enter the cell and try to kill Jessica, until it's announced that both girls are needed alive for the potential success of their mission.
Get the body out of here and leave her alone.
On the other side of town, Lulu returns to her apartment and is utterly horrified to find her roommate brutally murdered. Traumatized by the ordeal, Lulu goes to stay with Jake at his hotel, and the two start a relationship. Meanwhile, the captain visits General Jantapan at his mansion, informs him of what happened at the station, and gets a warning of his life.
If this happens again, you will be the apple.
Hoping to get to the bottom of what's going on, Sunti and Jake plan to meet Fernand and head to a local warehouse. However, when they arrive there, they are shocked to see that Fernand and all of his men have been murdered by Lena. Before they can fully process this, Jake and Sunti are ambushed by a group of men who come out of nowhere. The Abu Karaf soon make another ransom video, in which they reiterate their demands and give a new deadline.
We will execute them within 76 hours.
Then, as Sunti and Jake despair, wondering how to proceed, Jake receives a mysterious new message. Jake and Sunti then meet with Moncol, who thanks Jake for saving his life, confirms that the Abu Karaf had nothing to do with the kidnapping and that it's all been a setup and a power move by General Jantapan. As he puts all the pieces together, Jake realizes that the general wants to take over both the weaponry and drugs trade in the country and had planned to pit his rivals against the CIA so that they can all be wiped out, leaving him sole control. Then, Jake is devastated to realize that his friend Fitch, who also aspires to climb up the ranks in arms dealing, worked with the general to kidnap the girls. Furious, Jake rushes to the club to confront Fitch.
How you doing?
Great, how are you?
Then, an altercation breaks out between Sunti and Jake on one side, and Fitch and Lena on the other. Jake then gives Fitch a chance to redeem himself for old time's sake, but is soon forced to take action. Elsewhere, following the American president's orders, the CIA prepares to take matters into its own hands, and with the help of the Thai military, prepares to ambush the kidnappers. In town, as the air of inevitable war looms in the air, General Jontapon steals one of Jake's sweaters and takes it to an old evil magician so that he can work his voodoo on the retired agent. Meanwhile, Sunti takes time out for some quiet spiritual rejuvenation and prayers, while Jake visits the temple and speaks to Master Paijan Paitun, who gives him his blessing, a special protective necklace, and promises to pray for him. Jake then informs his girlfriend how dangerous the upcoming battle is and bids her farewell. Then, Jake and Sunti set out to General Jantapan's mansion, where they believe the girls are being held. Upon arrival, Jake calls Leon and accuses him of knowing the general's involvement from the start and informs him that he will handle the matter himself. Elsewhere, the evil magician builds a voodoo doll of Jake and starts casting his spell. At the mansion, the duo discreetly enter the compound and quietly and quickly ambushes the guards. They then proceed inside and rescue the girls. However, they are soon ambushed by corrupt military soldiers. While Sunti safeguards the girls and deals with the numerous soldiers, Jake rushes upstairs to face off with General Jantapan. Jake and the general soon enter into a fight of precision. They then get into a proper face-off. Unfortunately, the voodoo starts to take effect, and Jake loses his necklace and is cornered. Luckily, at the temple, the Buddhist monks gather together to pray for Jake and counteract the evil magic. The intense fight continues as both fight for their life. Good triumphs over evil, and both the general and the evil magician are killed. Jake then goes downstairs and is happily reunited with the girls. However, his heart is broken to see that Sunti is fatally injured. A few days later, a Buddhist funeral is held for Sunti, in which Jake spreads his ashes in the river.